September aims to provide a platform for women and youth in trade and to set up a plan that will enable them to take advantage of the AfC-FTA. And are joined by Maria Immanuel, who represented Namibia in Tanzania. Very good evening to you, Maria, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you. Before we perhaps delve into the conference, just give us a brief picture of Namibian women and youth and their involvement in businesses. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. No, thank you very much for having me. So when we talk about perhaps mostly, let me focus on women, especially trade and trading across the border. Mm-hmm. Practically speaking, we are really looking their concentration in the informal sector, right? So when we speak of making trade policy, trade formulation, we are, deriving, this data from the formal trading. Yeah. So you find that there's a big gender bias, because obviously if you are using data from the formal, you are almost leaving out 70% to 60%, 60 to 70% of women who are concentrated in the informal sector. And of course the informal sector just basically mean when you are trading, but perhaps conducting your business not in a manner that is recorded, and perhaps especially when you are crossing the border, recorded and captured, and perhaps paying the applicable taxes at the border. So you find that women that have been in the informal sector and now are formal sector, they are saying that I have been an informal trader, and that means I have been smuggling goods across the border. Yep. And that means when you're smuggling, you're not declaring. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a big thing when you start, unpacking the issues around that. But this is really the conversation around women being included in trade, as well as youth. And the youth dynamics is unique as well. It speaks to the issues of high unemployment and perhaps limited access to economic opportunities. So, when you have those two and then you have this, you're looking at two different dynamics, but again, the exclusion of them because they are not around the formality of trading.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the conference in Tanzania. Did it meet expectations, and were there aha moments in terms of the topics that were discussed there, the delegates that you also met? Are there similarities in terms of challenges that other countries are facing compared to Namibia? Yeah,
definitely. This is the first time ever the AfC-FTA Secretariat is organizing an event that is focused purely on women and youth. And again, the conversation has been coming for a while to say, how do we include women and youth? And the challenges are known. They have been documented in the different publications, institutions such as the UNDP, the UN, and even our own statistical agencies. They are monitoring and tracking data around that. So the issues are known, but perhaps how do we then identify these issues and come up with solutions, and how do we craft this very important instrument, which is the Women and Youth Protocol, and make it work for the targeted group. That's really the general objective of the conference. So bringing women and youth in the room to hear their personal experiences and to hear them craft their own solutions that could address and unlock opportunities of international trade and cross-border trade.
What would you say were some of the key resolutions that came out of this meeting?
Yeah, definitely when we speak of that, the first one that is really coming key is financial inclusion. For you to be able to obviously, also come up with, by understanding how women trade, it's also understanding how financial institutions can develop financial instruments that support them. The other one, the key one, is really awareness on the agreements and understanding on the agreements. So you find that international trade is very technical. It's a law language. So trying to sensitize and awareness and breaking it down to say, how can you as a cross-border trader who is perhaps in Chicago and is able to trade into Angola, how are they able to take advantage of an agreement such as the SADC trade protocol and such as the AfC-FTA and actually unlock those preferences that are negotiated in the agreement. So information sharing. And of course, the main one as well is buyer's connection. So you have a product, but now how do you connect that product into the other market? So we speak issues of you know, B2Bs and trade fairs and expos, but mostly importantly is really the information around the agreements and how to benefit and what are those preferences and breaking it down. So that came out very key, definitely.
How would you say the reception has been locally in terms of this African Continental Free Trade Agreement amongst the youth in particular and women as well?
Yeah, so the Namibia Trade Forum has launched or been rolling out an awareness campaign on the AfC-FTA specifically, focusing mainly on women and youth. And I personally have been participating in those campaigns where we are giving information to traders. And I should say that the response has been really amazing. People are really curious. They want to come to the table and understand how can I participate. And one of the case study we had up in Chicago, where we actually have practical cross-border trade happening, is that they are shy to explain their businesses because, again, they are informal, so they are smuggling. But they want to find out how can I formalize my business and how can I perhaps benefit more from the agreement. And that actually comes from information empowerment and knowing how. A lot of time is not so much difficult, it's just that they don't know that they need necessary documents to move. And when they don't have those documents and they come to the border, they are sent away. So once you are sent away, you don't really go away, you just sort of use another route. So you find that they are coming in the room and they are sharing their challenges, and we are trying to see how can we turn those challenges into, you know, practical solution that can help them boost their businesses across the border.
All right, brilliant. And lastly, Maria, perhaps just a word of perhaps the encouragement or to anybody watching the show that's interested in also learning more about this and what you also saw and experienced in Tanzania.
Yeah, I think for me, the encouragement is really going mostly to the youth. Again, the room was really, really packed with women because, I mean, women have been trading for years, as we say. The youth issue is an issue of access to information, access to opportunities, but also them coming to the table. And actually the youth are, for me, the educated level. They have a level of education that they can understand the document, they can understand what is going on. So them coming to the table and actually picking out opportunities, because it's not always that you must have a business, but perhaps say, okay, what can I do? And how can a African Continental Free Trade Agreement you know, inspire me to perhaps see the opportunities and start a business around trade? There's so much, and it's not even just trade in goods necessarily, it's also trade in services. So the logistics, the tourism, so many opportunities that young people can come and see how they can set up businesses and take opportunity, because if they don't, then nobody else will.
All right, Maria, thank you so much for your time, and wish you and the rest of the team all the best. Thank you so much. All right. Just tuning in, you're watching the Daily Roundup. Moving on to health matters now, the World Health Organization says it has a plan to ensure that